And he said they told me that they'll come back and bring me the money. I said, "What'd y'all do?" And he said, "Well, I went to help them load up a washer and dryer." He said, "But when we got to the house, the dude said he lost the door key. So the guy said, I'm going to crawl in the window and then I'm going to come and let you in the back door." So that's what he did. He crawled in the window, let him in the back door. Then they disconnected that, loaded it up in the truck, and then he dropped them back off. And he said he'd be back later to pay him. And I told him, I said, "Dude, that don't even sound right. That sounds kind of crazy, because if that's a dude's house, I don't see how he'd lose his door key and have to crawl in the window." But anyways, if it wasn't his house, I would say that it was somebody that he knew, and he was basically taking the washer and dryer. But needless to say, them people never did come back, never did pay him. And I told him, I said, "Man, these people played you." And he was like, "Well, I ain't worried about it because it might have been up to no good anyways." But he was basically an innocent bystander just trying to make some money. And then he helped the dude, and then he still didn't get no money. Not saying the dude stole the washer and dryer. It just sounded funny to me that the dude lost his key and had to crawl in the window and then let him in the back door. It just didn't sound right to me. But I told him, I said, if he comes back around, man, I wouldn't go with him, because I told him, I said, that dude is known for, you know, doing a lot of crazy stuff in the neighborhood. I said, but it might have been legit and he just burnt you out of $25, or it could have been the other way around. Who knows? But I thought that was pretty crazy, you know. Then this one time, this dude on military, this dude was drinking, and we were having a cookout on the side of this building, and this dude was upstairs, and he'd been drinking, and so he runs out of beer, and he comes down, and he's asking us, can he have a beer? So we give him a beer, and then he's trying to hang out, but we really don't know him that good, and basically didn't really want him hanging with us, because but we gave him a beer. We thought he was just gonna go on, but he just kept trying to hang out. And then a few of my friends were telling him, this is a private party, you're gonna have to leave. And but there's some kids out there too, which these were some of my friends' kids, out there. And he goes beside the house and decides he's gonna take a leak beside the house. Now, nobody knows if the kids actually seen him, but the kids, they did come, seen him. They seen him using the bathroom inside the house, but they didn't. I don't know if they actually seen him. But anyway, they came and told their dad, and then her dad went to him and put him in check. And then this other guy got on to him and started doing a combination on him, punching him. And then dude finally left, but because he shouldn't have did that. He should have went back to his apartment to use the bathroom. I don't know what he was thinking. But anyways, I think the guy hit him like 6 or 7 times. But that'll just teach him a lesson. You ain't supposed to do that around kids. He should have went back to his apartment and used the bathroom. But anyways, that was one time over there that sometimes you just run into crazy stuff like that. Then they had this dude that it was on the news over there. It's supposed to have been the moped killer. And this dude had they were saying he rode a moped and he was going around killing people, is what they were saying on the news. And then I had this friend that was in our neighborhood And he was a cool dude. He was a black dude. And he always drunk, like, he'd have a fifth of Jack Daniels and he would always drink out of the fifth, whether he'd be walking down the street or on his front porch, whatever. But me and him used to talk a lot. And when this thing came out on the news about this moped killer, and this is just some crazy shit. But anyways, the girls in the neighborhood, everybody heard about it on the news and stuff like that. So, and they knew I was talking to that dude for a long time. He would talk to me as he's walking to the store or coming back, or sometimes I'd come past his house and he'd get off his porch, come to the fence, talk to me and stuff like that. It's just kind of relationship we had. It was just a, shooting the shit kind of relationship. But anyways, one evening, I don't know if he had bought this or what, but he pulls out a moped. It was like I don't think it was I think it was like it's a moped, but I think it was called an Elite or something like that. But it was nice. And he started riding it up and down the street. And then the girls got real scared because then they was thinking that he was actually the moped killer. But I told him, I said, no, he ain't a moped. Just because you see a guy on a moped, you think he's a killer. And they was like, that's what the news said. And I said, yeah, they said that, but that could have been anybody. But the girls was, tripping out. But he was not mean to nobody in our neighborhood. He was cool with everybody. So, but I guess when they seen him start riding that moped, then they got scared. And they didn't want to, they didn't want to be around him or say anything to him after that. But he was a cool dude. He always shot the shit with me, stuff like that. But he used to like that Jack Daniels because every time he'd run out, you'd always see him going back to the store to get another fifth of Jack Daniels. And but he basically just stayed to himself. You didn't really see nobody rolling with him. He had an old lady, and I think she had a couple kids. They might have been his kids. They might not have been. I don't know. But he basically just stayed to himself, sit on the porch, drink, or he'd be walking to the store or something like that. But other than that, I just thought that was something when he pulled out that moped and stuff like that. I don't know if he just bought the moped or he had it for a long time or what. But once they started seeing him driving up and down the road in it, it scared the shit out of all them girls. And they didn't want to be around him after that. But I told him, I said, y'all can't just hear something and think that, something like that's, something like that could be so, because they was just leery about him. They didn't want to be around him. I was like, well, don't get around him if you're afraid of him, But basically, he was a cool guy. So that was it on that. Then there was a time when there's this girl that I knew. Her bike got stolen. And this guy in the same neighborhood as we live in, he ended up, we didn't see him steal the bike, but what had happened is he had stole the bike, then he painted it in his garage. And one day his sister was out on the bike riding it. And then that girl told me, she was like, hey, I think that's my bike. And she said, but it's a different color. I think he painted it. And I said, all right, well, I'm going to ask her, can I ride it and see, and then I'll ride it over here where you're at and you can tell me if it's your bike. Anyways, she let me ride it, but she wouldn't let me ride it by myself. She let me ride it with her little sister. I had to ride her on it. Then I rode up to the girl and I said, hey, is this your bike? And she was looking at where it's been painted, and he didn't really do a good job on the paint, so you could see what color the bike used to be. And she was like, "Yes, that's my bike." And she said, "My stepdad said if somebody gets my bike back, that he'll pay him." So I was like, "All right." So I took the bike back to the girl, and I was telling my friend about it. I didn't want to fool with it, basically. And I told my friend about it. He was like, "Man, I'll do it. You think due to pay me?" And I was like, "I don't know." But she said, if you get the bike back, just put it in her backyard. She had a fenced in backyard. She said, put it in the backyard and then my stepdad will pay you for it. So I told him about it. And then he asked to ride the bike. And he had to ride the girl on the bike. And then we went around the block, but when he came back around the block, he was walking with the little girl that was her sister, and the bike was gone. And I said, "What happened?" He said, "Somebody stole the bike from us." But basically, he took the bike and gave it back to the rightful owner. And then I don't know if he actually got paid or whatever, but I thought that was a funny incident the way that happened because he acted like, somebody stole it from him, just like they basically stole it from the girl. So they stole it and somebody stole it right back from them. I thought that was funny. We laughed about that for quite some time. That was crazy. There was this chick that lived upstairs on Otis, where I lived at. It's Otis in Livernois. And we had started taking care of this old man. And the old man he actually was staying with this girl around the corner, her mom and them, and then they got tired of keeping him. But he was getting big checks every month, and that's how he'd pay his way, his rent and stuff like that. But they got tired of keeping him, so they was asking us, would we take him in? And, they was saying how much, he gets in a check and all that. So we ended up taking him in. But anyways, the lady that lived upstairs come to find out that she knew him from a long time ago in a different neighborhood. And for some reason he liked her, and I don't know if she liked him or she was just basically using him for money, because I think dude got like 2,800 a month. And back then that was a lot of money that dude was getting. And he was in the military and and stuff like that. But so I think he's probably getting a veterans check and a Social Security check or something like that. But anyways, every check day, that lady would come around asking him for money, and he would give her money. And then the word was later on that her daughter, at that time, she had a daughter and then a younger son. And the word that was going around the neighborhood was that the young girl, her daughter, I forget how old her daughter was, but she wasn't that old. She was a little young girl. And the word was that that girl was his daughter. And when I heard that, I was like, man, there ain't no way. And I said, that dude's old, very old. He was old. When he stayed with us, I know he had to be about, I don't know, I'm just guessing, maybe 75, you know. So I really just didn't believe that. But that was a rumor that was going around the neighborhood. But she had something on dude, because whatever she asked for, he would do it. And I remember one time he was going to we was going to Kmart, and he was going to pay for her stuff, you know. And so we went out to Kmart, and I forget who was actually driving the car or whatever, but it was like her, him, me, my girlfriend, and somebody else that was driving, but I forget who it was. But anyways, we went out to Dearborn to Kmart on Michigan Avenue. And when we get to Kmart, while we're, pulling up in the parking lot, she tells everybody in the car, she's like, hey, get what y'all want, and he'll take care of it like that. And he's with us. And he didn't say nothing. He had a big wallet and it was just it had a lot of cash in it. So everybody went in there and stuff, and I didn't get anything, but I know my girlfriend, she got a pair of Jordache jeans, some footies, and a shirt. And I said, you gonna get all that? And she was like, she told me to get whatever I wanted that he was gonna pay for, so I'm going ahead and getting it. And she said, you ain't gonna get none? I said, no, I ain't gonna get none. And anyway, she got that, and then she got, that lady got her a bunch of stuff, and I remember it was like $200 something that he paid. And, but I thought that was crazy. And this same dude, his name's Lou, old man Lou. And this same dude, one time, the people that used to take care of him before we did, later on down the road, this lady ended up being a family member of mine. But anyways, she had told me that one time he told her, now remember, this guy gets a lot of money per month, but he pays his way wherever he's living, then he spends a lot of money, and then also that lady gets a lot of his money because she's always coming asking. Back then, she was always coming to ask for diapers, grocery money, all this, and he would just give her whatever she asked for. And but anyways, the lady that used to keep him, she was telling me that one time he said, "Do y'all want to go out to Big Boy's restaurant?" And it was on Michigan Avenue in Dearborn. And she said it was about 5 of them. It was her kids, and then him. And she said they didn't have no money. And she said it was like toward the end of the month. But they thought he had money, and he might have had money. But here's what happened. They all said, yeah, we'll go. And they went to Shoney's restaurant. Well, Big Boys, still same name. They call it Shoney's, Big Boys, Elias Brothers, a whole bunch of different names. But anyways, and this restaurant, it's got like glass windows all the way around it where you can see out in the parking lot and stuff. But they go to the restaurant, and he said he was going to pay, and they all agreed to go. And she's telling me this story later on down the road, but she said they went in there and everybody ordered what they wanted, and then they got ordered dessert and stuff. So he gets up and goes to the bathroom, and this guy, you got to figure he's like 75 years old, and he walks, but he kind of like drags one leg, and but anyways, he goes to the restroom, and they're waiting for him to come back. So they're sitting around the table talking and stuff, finishing up, and he don't come back. So they're like, wonder where he went. And so one of them looks out the window, and he's sitting in the car. And then they're like, oh shit. And they didn't have no money. So they was like, we're going to have to get out of here, sneak out of here. So they actually, one at a time got up and left and went to the car. And she said she was real mad at them. And, and then they left. So basically they left without paying. So they ate free. But anyways, she said she was real mad at him. She told him that, she'd never take him to a restaurant again. And that could have been the reason why they didn't want to take care of him no more, and the reason why we ended up taking care of him. And we took care of him up until for a good while, up until and this dude used to have like two. He had a bunch of ball caps that had like military stuff on it. I want to say World War II or something like that. I forget what it said on there, but anyways, he would take two, and he would take a lounge chair, and he would take a cooler where he can dump the money in the cooler, and he'd take him a few bottles of water. But he would usually get somebody to take him to Gibraltar Trade Center or somewhere where there's a lot of people at, and then he would just set up in front of the entrance in a chair and have one hat on, and he'd hold one hat for money. And like I told you, this guy get like 26, 2,800 a month. He got a lot of money, but this was a hustle he did. And I don't know if he just felt like, somebody owed him because he was in the military or what. But anyways, he used to rake in some money doing that. And he would just sit out there in front of Gibraltar and just people would just walk by and just put money in his hat. And when it got quite a bit of money in there, he would just dump it in the cooler. And then he would do, he'd stay there for like 2 to 3 hours and then be ready to go and just have all kind of bills and change and all that. But I thought that was crazy, but it was a pretty good hustle for him because he did that often, and he collected some money doing that. But that dude was a character, though. I remember one time he gave me a starter pistol, and it was chrome, and I don't know where he got it from, but it was just a starter pistol where when people raced, like running, racing, or whatever, back in the day, they would like shoot the gun up in the air and stuff. It was just a shot blanks. Anyways, he gives me this chrome starter pistol, and at this time, I'm needing a bike that this dude's trying to sell. And I told this dude, I was like, hey, man, I ain't got the money right now, but I'd like to have that bike. And I said, you want to trade something for it? And he was like, what you got? I said, I got a nickel-plated chrome starter pistol that I'll trade you for the bike. And then he was like, let me check it out. And then it had a little silver round thing that had the blanks in it. And I showed it to him, and he was like, yeah, I want that. And he said, we can trade for this. And I was like, all right. So luckily that old man gave me that starter pistol because I ended up getting a nice bike out of it, basically. And but that dude, he as soon as he put the blanks in it, he went in the alley and started shooting it and stuff like that. He liked it, but nothing came out of it. It was just a starter pistol. But he liked it. I hope he didn't get in no trouble after that. But he really wanted that, so it was a good trade. I remember one time on military, I was going with this girl, Loretta, and her brother and his old lady, June. They were going back to their house to have a party. And then she asked me, did I want to go with them? And I was like, yeah, I'll go with you. And she said, well, you're going to get in the car, but you're going to have to get down in the floorboard because if my dad sees you, he might shoot you. And I was like, what? And she said, yeah, they were from Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky. And he was just a real country dude, but I never had no issues with him. She was just saying that's how he is. If he, and we were both teenagers at the time, so. And but she was like, yeah, you got to hide down in there. So I had to hide down in the floorboard and wait because her brother, her whole family drinks, and but her brother was drinking and talking to his brother. His other brother was over there, And his other brother got into it with his old lady and started punching. They had a little car, and he got mad and started punching the windshield. So he shattered the windshield by punching it. And I was like, oh, seems like this is going to be a bunch of drama, you know. But finally, his old lady, June, went and got him. And because he was just trying to calm the situation down with his brother and his old lady. And by the time, you know, he done shattered the windshield in the little car that they had. And she finally got him to come to the car. And he knew what was going down. He knew I was going with him. So it was me, Loretta, June, and him. And then we went out to their house, you know, ended up staying the night out there and partying and stuff like that. Oh, and it was her brother too, David. He was a friend of mine. And he worked at the Jim Pollard store too. He worked at the Jim Pollard store, the liquor store on Otis and Livernois, longer than any of us. And then Loretta, she worked there for a while too. Then she ended up working at a store in Delray. And I think that's the last time I seen her is in Delray at another store over there. And I had walked in that store to get, I think I was getting a beer or something. And because I had some friends over there in Delray too. And she was actually putting stuff in the cooler. And I was like, I didn't know you was working over here. And she was like, yeah, I would come over here and work at this store, you know, but. And I want to say somebody told me that she ended up doing her own business, but I'm not for sure. I thought I remember somebody telling me she did her own thing, and I said that years back because I know her brother and her worked at the liquor store for a long time, and you know, and they did all kind of stuff, run the lottery machine, and you know, all kind of stuff. So they knew it in and out, you know. So I always said they should just open their own store, you know. But they're cool people, and they're from Louisville, Kentucky. I've been past Louisville plenty of times, but I ain't never stopped in Louisville. So, you know, I don't know what kind of place. I know it's country, but I don't know what kind of good stuff they have over there, if any. Because it might be just one of them little towns where it don't hardly have nothing there. I'm not for sure. But anyways, that girl, she was a good girl, and when I was going with her, but what it was, she was a teenager. I believe she was like 17. But what the problem was with me and her is it wasn't that we didn't like each other. It was just like her mom and dad was real strict on her, and her brothers was too, basically. And it was hard to get any leeway with her because they were just real strict. And I remember she used to come to my sister and brother-in-law's house to see me. And, you know, we'd spend a little time together and we'd be sitting on the front porch. But if her brother was walking by to go into the store or whatever, because they lived around the corner, he would tell her, you know, hey, you need to get home, you know, and stuff like that. And then sometimes her mom, they lived up above the Jim Pollard store. Sometimes her mom would come down and be at the front door and just yell over there because she could actually, you know, see us out in front of where we was at, and she'd yell over there to tell her to come home. So it was kind of like, you know, it was kind of hard for me and her to kick it too much because her parents and her brothers were just too strict on her. But she ended up getting somebody later on and didn't have, you know, got married, had kids and all that. But I just thought it was crazy, you know. And I guess it's because she was the only girl and she had, you know, a few brothers and stuff like that. Yeah, about three brothers, but I guess she's the only girl, so they was just overprotected of her. But she was 17, you know. But right after that, I started going to the store, and I would see her with this other dude, and I was jealous. Really, I was like, how did she hook up with him? He wasn't even. This dude wasn't even, that I knew of wasn't even from our neighborhood. I mean, I had never seen him, but they ended up hooking up, and they ended up getting married, having kids and stuff. So I'm glad everything worked out for her, stuff like that. But she was a good country girl that was in Detroit City, But I dated, quite a few girls that was in the neighborhood and stuff. Not at the same time, just when something wouldn't work out, I'd end up going with another girl and stuff like that. But they were all pretty. They was all good girls, and I hope they all doing well today. You know. But anyways, that's the end of this video. And if you want to leave comments, you could leave comments, or just make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, the like button, and you can check out more about this channel under the descriptions. And, support the channel, be positive, keep your head up, and peace.